And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another broadcast of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by yours truly. My name is Ray. I'm the bearded man of real estate. And this is a live podcast every week. And today we're back at a regularly scheduled time. So thanks, everybody, for joining. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, Instagram. I feel like I'm missing one. And we're also live in Clubhouse. So if you're joining us from Clubhouse, you can raise your hand and the moderators there will make sure that you're a legit person. And if you're a legit person with a filled out profile, they'll bring you up and you can add your voice to the conversation. What's up, guys? Just a note on Clubhouse too. I had to recreate the link. So if you have an old Clubhouse link that didn't alert you today, yep, that's because there's a new link. But if you're watching live on the other places like YouTube, you can comment. I can display your comment, just like Olivier. He said, yeah, boomer. More on that in a minute. Living in North Atlanta says, hey, bearded boomer. LaMarche, your YouTube channel commented, and then you commented. Matt LaMarche is here with us. Janice Fleming's here with us. What's up, Janice? Thanks for joining. We have a lot to talk about. The Fed's going to make an announcement towards the end of the show today. So stay tuned for that. I think we'll go that long. We've got some industry tea, some new lawsuits, old lawsuits, and we got a lot of housing news. So we're going to be covering all the things today. So thanks, everybody, for joining. If you're on YouTube, please do all the YouTube-y things. Subscribe, hit the bell so that you can be alerted when we go live. The reason why I do the show live and it's not like previously recorded is because I want your feedback. I want you guys to contribute to the conversation. Let me know what's happening. So this is an interactive show. And I know many of you, I mean, like one of the big news stories that you're waiting on, some will say it's the Fed, but I know in reality, you're super excited about Arkansas versus LSU tonight for the World Series. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, shame. Olivier, do you know what I'm talking about? Olivier says, Matt, are you trying to get attention? Matt's on every app. He's over on Instagram. Boomers, Battlestar Galactica. Oh wait, I see Beards now. Sorry, he said Beards, Boomers, Battlestar Galactica. That's pretty good. Yeah. Boomers are in the news today. They may never sell their house. So we're going to talk about a couple of articles. Man, you're on Facebook too. Matt has given me the maximum number of views possible. Hillary Kerchief in Nashville says, "Damn straight, go Tigers," and she misspelled "go" grossly. So yeah, we'll see what happens tonight. We should put a bet on it, Hillary. All right, bruh. Let's go to the first news story today. Why Realtor.com says private listings put agents on the wrong side of history. Now, I guess we're supposed to read this and forget that their entire business model is built on real estate agents putting properties online. So let's just suspend that bias and read through what they say. So Realtor.com CEO Damian Eales just issued a clear and direct message about the dangers of exclusivity and what it could cost sellers, agents, and the industry as a whole. In a post published on Realtor.com's Leadership Perspectives page, Eales outlined why the platform supports NAR's clear cooperation policy, which, as I want to remind you all, every time it's brought up, allows for brokerage exclusives. Okay. Eales first shared some of his thoughts about CCP Realtor.com's relative silence on the policy. He said, Realtor.com fully supports the principles and policy of clear cooperation because it's at the heart of most consumer-friendly marketplace on the planet. He credits the cooperative structure of the MLS and platforms like Realtor.com with making listings freely available to the public. He should credit NAR for mistakenly selling our .com to him too. Everyone benefits from a level playing field. Let's see. Common sense, more sellers want choice. As Ills put it, we're on the cusp of a period of time where a lot of sellers are going to work out after the fact, unfortunately, that they had gotten more eyeballs, more buyers, more offers. They would have gotten a higher price. So seller's remorse is what he's saying. Basically, he thinks that the people that want to list their home privately, that don't want to be marketed online, that don't want photos of their home online, he thinks that those people will look back and say, oh, dadgummit, I should have put it online. And by then it's too late. He goes on to say brokers who facilitate private marketplaces are likely to find themselves on the wrong side of history by putting themselves in the bullseye of litigation from both sellers who feel shortchanged, as well as buyers who claim they were selectively excluded from the property. It could lead to that, but also, if you have the proper documentation, then everything's legal there. I mean, it's been like that for years. Let's see, what else? In trying to save money, I cut corners in advertising, failed to attract potential buyers. It was a costly reminder that being penny wise can often be pound foolish. He's talking about his own experiences there and trying to save money. I guess that's about it. It's kind of repetitive, but no surprises. Realtor.com is for real estate agents putting their properties into the MLS so that they can feed it to their website. Okay. Surprise, surprise. I'm not. Living on Hilton Head Island says here too. What's up, Lamar? Lamar, you have he says mainly here, living in North Atlanta. You have a lot of YouTube channels, Lamar.
None of them are good though, so it's okay.
Do you still have your podcast going, Lamarche?
The Atlanta Realtors podcast or my podcast?
Both.
Sometimes not.
I don't even know what does that mean.
We've made a content decision not to do content ever again. No, well, I don't know. No, I don't know. I'm kind of off social at the moment, outside of this room every Wednesday at 1 p.m.
You're off social at the moment, except for this room in which you're on every platform at the same time.
Correct. Yeah. Right. I mean, I did just have to re-log into LinkedIn because it was like, who are you?
I do appreciate it.
No, but I do have two things that I'll talk with you or bring up to the crowd here.
Okay.
That I think that will be of great interest when the time's appropriate. So I'll just listen in and comment relentlessly now.
I mean, there you go. You guys have to listen to the whole show now because LaMarche is going to drop something.
And you have to donate $500 via YouTube as well. So
yeah, you guys could totally do that to the channel. That donation goes to my not-for-profit, which is called College for the Kids.
So we've been forewarned.
You have been forewarned. All right. Also in the news, Sharran Srivatsaa. He's on the board at Real, former president of Real Broker. Just joined acquisition.com, which is Alex Hormozi's company. For those of you who don't know, Sharran and Alex have been friends for years. So I got a lot of messages about this. They're like, what's happening? I was like, well, he's the former president of Real Broker. He's now still on the board. But, this is kind of right up his alley. For those of you who don't know Sharran, he's been working with investments for years. Someone said, well, what if Alex is showing a lot of chest hair in this some of these photos. Someone asked me, what if he stops paying attention? I know he's on the board, but what if he stops paying attention, starts paying attention to Alex's stuff, and Real starts to flounder? I was like, it's just not going to happen because this is part of it. In the announcement with Sharran joining, they talked about scaling REAX, which is the Real Broker stock symbol, from 200 million to $1 billion in market cap. So pretty rad. If he then has that company that he built that starts to founder that does not look good for acquisition.com. So he's still going to be sharing with Real what we need to do to on the board side anyway. But I think it's a great move for him. I'm excited for him. He's been doing investments and big investments for years and years and years. So this just kind of makes sense. So, and it goes into like what he did at Real and all that jazz. And I have to say, Real was the best place for Sharran because of the culture at Real. Real was not the best place for Sharran because it became the best place for Sharran. It already matched who Sharran was and what we were trying to do. And so it's just a very good fit for a while. So I'm happy for him. Someone else said that this was going to send ripples through the industry. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. But I was surprised to see this as an actual article. Crypto scam targeting real estate agents and what you need to know. Is this new? This is not, it's from June 12th, the article is, but I feel like this is something that's just always been there. But I guess there's a specific crypto scam now that is targeting real estate agents. And previously it was just like general crypto scams. They used to take any real estate agent with like over 5,000 people. They would make copies of that agent's profile on Instagram and such. And they would message followers and say, hey, thanks for following me. By the way, did you see this new crypto coin? Well, this is a little more elaborate. What in the world? This is a little more elaborate. This is a little more elaborate than that. What happens in this scam? They're calling it the pig butchering scam, which is a weird name for it. But anyway, the way this scam works is that a cash buyer reaches out to a real estate agent and builds trust. And that cash buyer, over several interactions, builds trust with the real estate agent enough to where the agent's like, how'd you make your money type of thing? And the guy's like, oh, I use crypto. You should try it. And so the guy sends them, same guy, the girl, could be a girl scammer too, which all things equal. She did make us eat the apple, right? Anyway, the crypto scammer sends a link to the real estate agent, and you think like, oh, okay, then they get the real estate information and it's done. No. The real estate agent then puts in their information and invests into the scam and gets a return and can sometimes take a withdrawal. That win encourages them to invest more. And then that's when they put a ton of money into the scam. And that's when the scammer takes them for all they're worth. So I guess pig butchering is, what's the phrase? Hogs get slaughtered. Something. There's something in investing about that. Maybe that's kind of why.
Yeah, are real estate agents the pigs? Are we the hogs? Is that?
Yeah. We're the ones that get butchered in this scenario because
we've been called a lot worse recently, though.
True. So it's a lot of this is obvious, right? But the fact that the guy goes through the trouble of building a relationship with a real estate agent, and then the real estate agent actually wins if they do put just a little bit of money into the deal, that is kind of what makes this a little bit different. Is that, it's a cash buyer, somebody that's probably wasting your time asking you about a lot of properties. Then, you figure out, oh, what do you do for a living? He's like, I'm an investor. What do you invest in? I just do crypto. What crypto? Well, here's a link. And then suddenly the guy gets a win, makes a withdrawal, and then that's where they're cooked. So
good luck building relationships with realtors. It's like impossible.
Good luck getting any one of them to answer a phone. I'm surprised at the tenacity of the scammer that can make a real estate agent pick up the phone and do something. So what's up, Armando? Armando, I need to know. Can you join the conversation? Where is he? All right, Armando, I'm inviting you as a speaker.
What kind of show is this?
What kind of show is this? Yeah, I was hoping that would make it appearance.
Armando,
What up?
what's going on, dude?
Not much. Just kind of making my expire calls. What's happening?
Did
What
you
are we
get
talking about here?
did you get hit by a car?
I did get hit by a car yesterday, and
What?
got thrown like for the witness, like 7-8 feet in the air out on the other side. So yeah,
How you
not
feeling?
fun. I'm actually well, yeah, I sore. It could have been worse, but very sore. But I'm alive, and yeah, they just this city's crazy with drivers that run stop signs and almost hit a runner pedestrian that saw everything, and
Wild.
yeah, and to top it off, he stopped the driver, and the neighbors kind of rendered aid. He was just he sounded out of it, like he was either on some type of prescription meds, like because I can kind of tell. Like it was more like like a sedative, like like those painkillers, just kind of makes you drowsy, I guess. That's what his like behavior was, and then so he offered his insurance, and he said, here's my insurance card if you need it. I go, yeah, thanks. Let me take a quick snapshot, and then I go, I'm gonna file a police report, so if you can hang tight. And he goes, okay, well, if you need me, I live down the street, and then just kind of casually moseyed in his car and left the scene.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah. And that girl said the same thing. And I was like, where are you going? And he didn't even turn back to like answer me.
Is that considered a hit and run? Because in the hit and run, whenever they don't exchange information.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's not necessarily a hit and run. I guess it's just leaving the scene of an accident.
Yeah. And so, I got checked out. HPD, or the Houston Police Department, came by and told me what happened. And so, yeah, I actually just got off the phone with my attorney. I lawyered up yesterday, and
sorry, it was right on the same soundboard as your saying.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Wow, dude.
So, yeah, actually, if I'm not giving legal advice, but I didn't know. I'm not saying I didn't know what to do, but if I would have gone to the emergency room, I would have been waiting for hours, and those bodily injury attorneys were like, no, we have our urgency care unit. You don't have to wait. I literally walked in,
wow.
talked with the paralegal, gave him my statement. We signed to work with them, and then they're like ready to go. Like literally, it took no time to get looked at. Because it's like,
that's wild.
So
as you're signing the attorney paperwork at that kind of office, they're already like putting the blood pressure cuff on you to start.
Right.
There's an all-in-one. Wow, dude. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Hillary Kerchief from Nashville. Do y'all know each other? She said, is his pup okay? I know he's along for the ride a lot. Was your pup there?
Oh, no, thank God. Man,
that's good.
that would have been so sad.
But
he's he's got a hard head. If his head would have got hit, I think it would have been fine. But yeah, it's just like my right shoulder, literally, like, what I think it was better that my shoulder instead of course your head or your knee.
Yeah.
And it was hit a Tacoma truck. I bet the hell out of it. And he T-boned me pretty much, but I ran into his left quarter panel, and I saw it. It was like literally an imprint of my shoulder. And
wow.
Yeah, I'm just like real sore, and I think I had a concussion because like my vision was blurry yesterday, and then this morning was blurry, and that's what I told my attorney this morning. She's like, okay, I'll give you a referral to whatever, optometrist, whatever. I was like, okay. So then, yeah, it's
wow, dude. Well, I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw that on your stories, and I was like, what? That did they find the guy? Did they you may not be able to share everything that happened, but did they like find the guy and arrest him, or did they just charge him, or did they just say, yeah, here's his address?
Well, I mean, the officers yesterday said, yeah, we'll roll by his place to kind of get his report, and that was it. And, I was off, getting checked out. I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll get the report next week or something. So,
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Well, glad you're okay. Glad you could join today. And yeah, get better soon, dude. Take care of that massive bionic shoulder that makes dents in trucks.
This week in real estate is off to a rousing start.
I mean, we got a little of everything.
Armando's more like breaking news, isn't it?
Well, hopefully nothing's broken, but yeah.
should we send Matt out to be on scene?
On scene, the on-scene reporter. I've always said this is a variety show, and it was really funny the first time. Was this the first time you joined our show, Armando? Where I don't know if you knew you were on or not, but this is where we stole that soundbite.
What kind of show is this?
Where Armando said, "What kind of show is this?" So it's makes even more sense today. So anyway, glad you're okay. All right.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Speaking of it's a terrible transition. Speaking of lawsuits, Opendoor, they reached a $39 million settlement in the pricing algorithm suit. Do y'all remember the pricing algorithm suit? I didn't. I had to look it up. I was like, what? Remind me of what happened. Because at first I was like, wait a minute. Is this the company that claimed that they had an algorithm, but really it was just people behind the curtain, like doing all the work? But no, that was an AI thing. This was in 2022. Opendoor misrepresented the accuracy and effectiveness of its iBuying platform. If you recall, they said that they had a tech disruptor AI-powered platform that wouldn't miss on home valuations. However, the complaint alleges that the pricing process relied more heavily on human input and the company failed to adjust for shifting market conditions. So I thought that was interesting too, that it's not that it wasn't inaccurate, because that is part of the problem. Opendoor lost 42% of its home resales in the prior month. The report cited analysis suggesting that the company's algorithm was not keeping pace with the fast changing housing market. We all remember that, where like houses were going crazy, Opendoor was losing money, and people were like, how are you losing money in this deal? But they weren't pegging the prices right. And they were saying it was the algorithm. So all of us were saying, oh, well, obviously computer algorithms can't do it. Turns out their quote unquote algorithm was also relying on human input, and the humans were not right either. So following mediation, both parties agreed to settle March 26, 2025. An official stipulation was filed June 13th. Now it's approval. Plaintiffs say the settlement offers meaningful recovery without the delays, risk, and expenses of prolonged litigation. So there you go. Opendoor reaching a settlement while they're still in business. Sorry, that was a little aside. That's not in there. That was me. That was me saying that. Homesellers are fighting to keep a legal battle with EXP hot and Weichert. And so this legal battle was part of the Sitzer Burnett stuff. It was the same kind of thing. This one with Gibson. The fight boils down to Homesellers claims that EXP World Holdings and Weichert real estate affiliates engaged in a reverse auction when settling their litigation. In other words, they had this settlement kind of set up, and then EXP Weichert files paperwork that says, and I'm way oversimplifying, and I'm not an attorney. All right. So if you are an attorney and you're like, no, that's not exactly what it means, just drop it in the comments. Let us know. Or you could just come on the show. But my understanding of this is that EXP and Weichert settled the case known as Hopper, but the Gibson plaintiff was to force the companies back at the negotiating table on their own case. The parties have been going back and forth over the issue for months. The Hooper judge granted the settlement's preliminary approval. After winning the preliminary approval, they filed a motion to stay or to pause Gibson proceedings. So they're basically saying that if the settlement, if the settlements win final approval, they will extinguish Gibson. And Gibson's like, no. We don't want to be extinguished. So I guess they're trying to get a settlement to cover more than one. But then the Gibson people are like, no. They shopped settlements and found the lowest one, and that's the one they're trying to go with. So that's in short what's happening. I don't know if it's got legs or not. I'm not a legal beagle enough. I mean, I love legal stuff, but that's not one that I'm even gonna try. Matt Lamar says, "What's a Weichert?" You know, are they in your market? I don't know if they're in our market. I think they're in Northwest Arkansas here.
No, they are.
Oh, okay.
I just laugh because every time I see it, I'm like, safety orange or safety yellow.
It is.
Their signs are
That's it.
alarmingly bright.
Super bright. You know, Armando. Get you a Weichert outfit. Maybe the guy,
That's right.
maybe the guy would see you. Sorry.
Too soon.
All right, let's talk about Keller Williams. Are y'all calling people that you find on Zillow that are for sale by owner? Keller Williams hit with a new telemarketing lawsuit in New York. New York homeowner claims that text messages sent by associate broker at Keller Williams amounted to an invasion of their privacy, violation of the TCPA. So this is the new TCPA, and I think it's the first real estate lawsuit that involves the new TCPA rules that were put in place. I want to say it was February. I could be wrong. New York homeowner suing Keller Williams after one of its agents sent an unsolicited text message advertising her services, according to the new lawsuit. Sydney Thayer filed her class action lawsuit against the franchisor U.S. District Court for the Western District, June 12th, saying texts were a violation of the TCPA. Thayer, who lives in Rochester, New York, received the text on her phone between April 24th. Despite her number being on the National Do Not Call Registry, screenshots included the complaint showed the associated broker told Thayer she received their information from Zillow and asked Thayer if she was interested in the real estate services. So the question is, how did she receive the information from Zillow? Because if Zillow sent her information as a lead, then she had permission because that this lady or person somehow inquired through Zillow, and then Zillow sold the information to the agent one way or another. But if the agent just went on Zillow, found a for sale by owner home, and then picked the phone number off of that, then I guess that's probably protected. The defendant's unsolicited text message caused the plaintiff actual harm, including invasion of her privacy, aggravation, annoyance, intrusion on seclusion, trespass, and conversion. Thayer wrote in her complaint, defendant's text message also, what is the actual harm? Defendant's text message also inconvenienced the plaintiff and caused disruption to her daily life. How many text messages was she sending? She's seeking $1,500 in damages for each call that is found to have violated the TCPA. How many of them were there? Spokesperson for Keller Williams said, "We're aware of the lawsuit alleging a TCPA violation by a real estate agent affiliated with one of our independently owned franchises, and we're reviewing the matter." Dale Frost, Keller Williams spokesperson, said that, Keller Williams famously, Gary Keller famously during the lawsuit said, well, they're independent contractors. I'm sure that's going to be the defense here. In January of 2023, Keller Williams Realty agreed to pay $40 million to settle a class action lawsuit alleged the franchise agents made unsolicited pre-recorded calls to consumers without their consent, including calls to consumers on the National Do Not Call Registry. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. In January of 2023, when this happened, it was because Keller Williams had actual training materials that were telling people to ignore the Do Not Call Registry, which is why they were brought in it, and it wasn't just the agents at fault. So months after the settlement, KW was hit with another similar class action suit filed by Las Vegas resident. Slate of attorneys sued the company in 2019 for similar conduct. So there you go. Interesting. I mean, I was at Keller Williams for a while, and I'm not going to name any names, but it was definitely well, just keep calling. They're not going to do anything. It was that for sure. For sure, I was told that. I don't know if I was told it in writing, but I was for sure told that. Do not do that. Do not ignore the do not call list. I actually have a neighbor that lives down the street from me, and part of his job is to sue people that violate the TCPA. So we have a lot of talks about agents that are in the area that are violating the TCPA. He's like, we're collecting fees, and then eventually, boom, they file the suit, and it's a big chunk because of all the fees. But I'm also, all those people that try to get us for the insurance. We're also working on collecting all of those to see if we can do something with it to sue for damages, but it's hard to actually find them because many of them are just scammers. All right, we'll see if this goes anywhere. I'm curious what the total is, $1,500 per offense, but it doesn't say what the total is. So I wonder if it's one offense or if it's multiple. The lady did have a conversation with the agent who said they received their information from Zillow. So that's my other question. Because I've been in situations where I call someone and they're like, hey, I got your information off of Zillow. This is, thanks for inquiring. Here it is. And they're like, I didn't inquire through Zillow. And I don't know why you have my information. So what is Zillow? Where'd Zillow get that information? So I wonder if Zillow is going to be brought in as a third party. Like if Zillow sold a lead to this agent and this agent's calling the lead, even if the person is on a do not call list, if they've inquired through Zillow, it says someone is going to call you, click here, and you click the checkbox saying, yeah, share my information. So, and I wonder if a for sale by owner signs up through Zillow, if there's something in the, in like the end user agreement that no one reads about putting your property on Zillow. I wonder if it says you're going to receive calls from real estate agents because Zillow gives leads. I wonder if they give those for sale by owner leads. I don't know. That's the most curious part of this for me is what is Zillow's involvement? Where'd that lead come from? Like on Facebook, I get leads through Facebook and people register and give us their phone number. And if those phone numbers are on the do not call registry, that doesn't matter because they gave us their phone number and said, call. So if that happened at Zillow and then Zillow gave the lady their number, then it's protected. I would think. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. Julie said, did the for sale by owner not want people to call them? I think they wanted people to call them. I don't think they wanted agents to call them and try to list their property. Julie Moon, I'm glad you're back, Julie. She said, OMG, I want to sue those insurance people. Yeah. The problem with it that I think we have found so far, Julie, is that NAR sold our information. And apparently the end user agreement that we signed up with NAR allowed it. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. We're 20 minutes. I think the Fed, drop in the comments what's going to happen. Matt LaVarche said class action against NAR. I mean, that would be, if it doesn't stop, somebody's going to. So I would add my name to that lawsuit just so I get paid more, for sure, because I didn't sign up for text messages on my cell phone. But that's my understanding of it. We're looking into it. We'll see if that's the actual case. Julie Moon said they wanted agents to call them to bring a buyer. So they gave permission for agents to call them. Yes, but not to solicit their services to them, basically. So I think that's probably going to be the argument in court. When we put our phone number on forsalebyowner.com or Zillow or whatever it was. You know what would be rich if this was a Rex customer that put their home on the market for sale by owner, and then because of the tab change, agents started calling them more often and they're getting pissed because of it. because now they're on the same. That would be hilarious. I don't think that's the case, but that would be funny because Rex is out of business. But so I think the argument's going to be, I don't want anyone to solicit their services to me other than bring me a buyer. But then the agent could say, well, the way I bring you a buyer is to list your home. That's going to be tough for the for sale by owner to win, I think. Disclosure is one thing, discussion is another. Matt Lamar says, I don't know what we're talking about now. I'm confused. Hillary says, but if we're required to be NAR members for our MLS access, did I really give them permission or was it forced? That's a question. I don't know what blank I signed that said, look at me snap. I don't know what blank I signed that said share my information with insurance companies, NAR. I don't know. So they have to have a recorded call. Who has to have a recorded call, Julie? I think they just have to have the text message conversation. My guy says, if I have text from them and I am on the do not call list or do not contact list, then you have a case. The question is tracking them down from that moment forward. Matt Lamarche over on Instagram, Matt.Lamar says, there are 2 proposed bills we need to push for us and our clients, and is also a good touch. What? I reread it silently again, and I don't know what you were talking about. It could be because I'm too late getting to you.
No, it could be that Instagram is just terrible about spell checking like every single thing. And of course, I can't even see the comment anymore.
Is this the same person on Instagram versus Clubhouse versus LinkedIn?
Yeah.
I think all these aliases.
Yeah, you may get some reverb. You may get a little reverb. No, there are 2 bills. This just came out of NAR's June, in their June priority issues for 2025. HR 1340 says basically that we will increase the capital gains from 250 to 500 and from 500 to $1 million, which would be huge for pretty much everyone that owns a home. Because if you bought a house 20 years ago and it's worth a lot more, you may not be selling it because capital gains is my guess. Yeah. That's a huge one. I think it would. True. And it's funny. The name of this bill is, what is it called? It's like More Homes on the Market Act. There you go. Obviously they've run out.
I mean, they're just. What's funny is that you get a lot of times it'll be the More Homes on the Market Act, and then when you read it, you're like, oh, this says the exact opposite.
Yeah, and this is not how I communicate. Like text and speech are actually very different, especially text on Instagram apparently. So that's HR 1340, and then the other one is HR 3526, uplifting First-Time Homebuyers Act of 2025. And this one basically states, I didn't know this prior to today, so maybe I'm late to the game, but you have an ability right now as a parent or a family member to take a withdrawal from your IRAs or 401ks or whatever taxable or tax-free retirement accounts you have.
Yeah.
For up to $10,000 currently, and they're trying to expand that to $50,000, which would also be huge because that could be a lot of boomers that were. I know this is the topic of today's show. A lot of boomers that could pass along, considerable potentially down payments or additional cash to their underlings and offsprings for a first-time homebuyer. I thought those two were worth mentioning. There's some other ones about 1099s and what we should do with that healthcare piece, but they are actually working on it. They are getting better. So as much fun as I poke at them, there are some decently good things they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, this bill, the HR 1321, is proposed by a Democrat. Normally, they are not for the lowering of taxation, but look, I mean, this is
right.
I would totally support this. This is a great. Basically, it is doubling the cap gains, which is right now 250. It's moving that to 500 if you're a single. It says each place it appears because it's used several times in the original, and then striking 500 and inserting $1 million. This says the adjustment for inflation in the case of a taxable year beginning 2023, the $500,000 and $1 million amounts in paragraphs 1, 2, and 4 should be increased by an amount equal to, and then it goes into further adjustments for inflation. So, I mean, I like that. I think for years and years and years and years and years, it's been 250 and 500. So now for it to go to 500 and to $1 million, after we just had that article, was it last week, where we talked about that there's only 9 metros where $1 million was still, what was it, where you could buy a starter home? I don't know. The number had gone crazy. It was like originally there were, that's what it was. Originally there were 30 metros where the median price was not $1 million. Now there's only 9 or something like that. 9 of the 50 major metros. Olivier said, such a nice name for a bill.
Again, not Matt Lamarck's Instagram text entry. That's the name of the bill.
That is the name of the bill. What was the second one? The uplifting first time home ownership?
Yeah, it's HR 3526.
Uplifting first time
home buyers act. Yeah.
Oh, well,
and this whole legislative thing, NAR's legislative week, I think it was last week, if I remember correctly, or maybe the week before. But again, I discredit NAR a lot, but they are trying to do some things to benefit all of us. But I think the first one, 1340, is actually a lot more important because it does get people off the sidelines that are, basically just going to put that house in a trust and hand it down anyway. Like, why not just remove their capital gains now?
I think
because that was done back in the 80s.
I just had this question yesterday from someone that purchased a home years ago. They paid it off pretty quickly. Now the home has increased, and they're like, what do we have to pay to sell this house? And so we talked about capital gains and how it didn't apply in their case, but it is a concern, especially with the rates that have been lowered. If people are just staying put longer, they're paying off their house more or paying off properties that they may own. And by not having that capital gains, if they could take that and put it somewhere else, they will. So that's not bad. Olivier says, I wonder who gets paid the big bucks to think of that. Think of those names. I mean, supposedly our congressmen and women. The HR 1052 is much shorter. And like you said, it says the internal code of 1986 is amended by striking 10,000 and inserting 30,000. I do like these bills that just like change a thing or update a thing. And it's not like 1,000-page bill. Like, this is the whole bill that you guys are seeing on the screen. That's it. It's not even a half page. You can fit it on an index card. So I do love that.
It should be.
I mean, along with the news about CapCut that everybody's talking about today, those are pretty big news stories that if it was me, I would put myself on a green screen with those bills behind me and talk about them a little bit on your social media today. The number one thing I'm seeing today is people talking about CapCut. They changed their end user agreement on CapCut, and basically all the content that you upload to CapCut can be used in perpetuity without your consent for whatever they want, just so you know. So if you were using CapCut as an editor, I would find a different editor. All right, let's go into the next news story. We've got, actually, I'm going to change the order on this because this is kind of in the same vein of what we were just talking about. No. Yeah. Okay. I am. Even though this is more about the economy, I guess you could say it's about the real estate industry too. So, all right. This one is the nest egg. Could this newborn nest egg be the future of real estate? So this article is on Broke Agent Media. It talks about this new provision in the big beautiful bill that would receive children born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028 would receive $1,000 government funded seed to investment to what's being called a Trump savings account. I mean, he's he's going to put his name on all the things. That's what he does in real estate. So it's not the towers, it's the Trump towers. All right. So a tax deferred account pegged to a stock market index like the S&P 500. Parents and family members, employees in churches and private foundations could contribute up to $5,000 per year to the account, which would grow over time and be accessible to the child after 18. They ran the numbers on this and said if someone put $750 a month into it by the time they're 18, I think they have 50,000. Yeah, there it is. By age 30, it goes to 175,000. By age 50, $1 million. It is not. So when I first read this, I was like, oh no, that's just going to make the home prices explode. But it's not specifically for housing, I don't think. So according to the National Association of Realtors, median down payment, that's what this article is talking about. But median down payment in 2024 was $37,000. Down payment saving. This is Danielle Hale. She's the Realtor.com chief economist. She said down payment savings or the lack thereof can be a major difference maker for any household as they contemplate buying their first home. So it could set up more people with the ability to purchase a home more quickly. However, it's not. It's not just for housing. If it was just for housing, I would say I don't really like it because it's just going to increase the price of a home by the time those kids are 20. It's going to increase the price of the home by whatever that average account becomes because you're going to have a bunch of people that could put a bunch of money down on a home all of a sudden. So now there's more competition in the market, so home prices are going to go up. However, I think it's a good idea to have something like this. Like, I mean, it's a nice little seed account. They're trying to encourage people to have babies. Okay, fine. I mean, we spend a lot more on a lot of other things. It could be worse. So starting a savings account, not a bad idea. Letting people contribute to it tax-free, good idea. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it helps kids get into colleges or whatever, but it's, I think if each one of my kids had something forced, we would probably be contributing more because it was forced. At the time when we had our first kids, we didn't have money. So, but if I knew that they had an account there that I could contribute to, we probably would have done more instead of trying to play catch up, All right, let's look at Anywhere. Anywhere cuts earnings estimate by 10% amid sluggish 2025 sales. The slow real estate market is weighing on Anywhere Real Estate. The company told investors in a filing with the Securities Exchange Commission on Tuesday that it projects earnings to be as much as 10% lower. Oh, bless me. I just sneezed. So earnings are going to be 10% lower in the second quarter than it expected in late April. 6 weeks ago, Anywhere told investors it expected its earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization to be approximately the same as it was a year ago. This week, however, it's like, nah, it's between 3 and 10% below. That's a pretty wide margin. Anywhere Real Estate includes Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Cochran, ERA Real Estate, and Sotheby's International Realty. According to the National Association of Realtors, home sales in April were on pace for an annual rate of 4 million homes sold this year. That would be lower than last year. And last year was historically low for the last however many years. So the revision led to a 7% drop in Anywhere stock value. Let's see, based on primarily our expectations for improving home sale transaction volume in the second half of 2025. It's interesting they say it's based primarily upon our expectations for improving home sale transaction volume. They're not saying, I mean, that's quite the slant. All right, there you go. Stuff's tough in the real estate market. They're not the only ones that are down and out, though. Call your local builder. They're probably feeling not so great. Homebuilder sentiment nears pandy low as economic uncertainty plagues consumers. So higher mortgage rates, uncertainty in the broader economy continue to weigh on consumers. I don't really think it's uncertainty in the broader economy anymore. I just think it's rates, basically. And stuff's still expensive. Like, prices aren't going down on things. I mean, they're down compared to what they were last year, but like, housing has not gone down. Luxury vacations not going down. Vacations not going down. Airbnb rentals not going down very much. So there's a lot that has not changed much, and we'll see today in just a bit. We'll have some breaking news, I'm sure, coming in a little while about rates. But most people think that rates are going to stay. So if rates don't change, if all that stays the same, then I think we would expect slower sales, and then housing starts will also slow. So your builders are like, builder sentiment in June dropped 2% from May to 32 on the National Association of Home Builders NAHB Wells Fargo Housing Market Index. Below 50 is considered negative. So the index stood at 43 in June 2024. I think also builders are seeing the increase in supply by waning homes that are on the market. It's not an increase in supply by just new builds that are selling in 3 days. It's an increase in supply by stuff that's now sitting and buyers that have pulled back due to rates. So the index has only seen a lower rating than June's level twice since 2012. In December of 2022, after mortgage rates shot up from record lows for the first time in 2 years of the pandy, and in April of 2020, at the very start of the pandy. Matt, I could see the URL on this and know it's fantastic, but I can't click on it. Just text it to me. I'll click on it. It's hilarious. Oh, we were just talking about this, man. All right, everybody do me a favor. We literally, it was so bad. We were just talking about insurance, and then what do I get? A text from an insurance company. I mean, come on, guys. I'll share it. I'm going to share it with the phone number if I can. Yeah, here we are. Oh, is that? Can you see it? There you go. Hey, Ray, Casey checking in. Good news. Health plan rates improved. Want me to email updated prices? Text 2 to unsubscribe. I never subscribed to this. So everybody call this person. 850-403-5660. Sign them up for whatever you want. I do not care. All right. You call me, we're going to call you. All right, let's get back to the news. Sorry, let me pull up the next article. Did you text it to me? Okay, you did text it to me. We'll cover this now, and then we'll see what the Fed decides to do in just a minute. This is an epic headline. So when Matt put this in the comments, I just knew I had to come to it here. So, all right. Trump slams stupid Fed Chair Jerome Powell ahead of interest rate decision.
So stupid. So stupid.
We have a stupid person, frankly, at the Fed. He probably won't cut today. Europe had 10 cuts. We've had none. I guess he's a political guy. I don't know. He's a political guy who's not a smart person, but he's costing the country a fortune. If he's worried about inflation, that's okay. I understand that. I don't think there's going to be any. So far, there hasn't. The president added, we have a man who just refuses to lower the Fed rate, just refuses to do it. And he's not a smart person. I don't even think he's that political. He just hates me, but that's okay. I mean, it is well known that Jerome Powell does not like Trump. That is for sure well known and established. Vice President J.D. Vance said on Wednesday, echoed Trump's calls for the Fed to cut interest rates. The president has been saying for a while, but it's more than clear the refusal by the Fed to cut rates, monetary malpractice, Vance wrote. Trump most recently bashed the Fed chair. I mean, you're not going to get him in good graces by saying this. But Trump most recently bashed the Fed chair this month after the release of a stronger than expected May jobs report. Too late at the Fed is a disaster, Trump told in a post to Truth Social. Europe has had 10 cuts. We've had none. Despite him, our country is doing great. Go for a full point. Rocket fuel. So there you go. Now, the reason why what Trump is saying can make sense is because the Fed is saying that he's worried about a recession. And if you're worried about a recession, he's worried about a recession and a correction. If you're worried about a recession and a correction, what does the Fed historically do? They cut rates. Well, the Fed's not cutting rates. So you can't be worried about a recession and not cut the rates. In reality, the economy is doing really well. And he's worried that if he cuts rates, there will be continued inflation. That's the concern. And if that's the concern, just say that. But the problem is, if he says that, then he's giving Trump credit for turning around the economy. So he's stuck. So now he says we're worried about a recession, and yet he doesn't cut rates. And we'll see in just a few minutes if he decides to cut rates. All right, home buyers' down payments are shrinking for the first time. What? I mean, they're shrinking for the first time because didn't we talk about the median home prices going down? So, oh, sorry, you guys can't see that. There it is. The median down payment falls for the first time in nearly 2 years. This does not mean that home prices are down, but it does mean that maybe there's more selling on the bottom half of the market than there is on the top half of the market, because home sales overall are down. But there you go. Down payments are shrinking. Typical home buyer puts 50% of purchase price. See, additionally, slightly higher share of home buyers are using FHA loans, which require lower down payments. And they're usually on cheaper properties. So the non-news news drives me nuts. This is not news. And you should explain it like, you should just tell the full story and just say, well, you know, the bottom half of the market's selling faster than the top half of the market. So naturally, the average down payment on a house is going to be lower. Home affordability is historically low, says JPMorganChase. Home affordability is historically low following 5 years of punishing price increases, according to the new report on the housing crisis from JPMorganChase Institute researchers. Nationwide, a typical home buyer in 2024 had to spend 45% of their income on mortgage payments than they would have in 2019. Housing affordability reached a historically low level due to the increase in home prices and interest rates relative to incomes from 2019 to 2024. To buy a comparable home, a household would have to increase the budget allocation to a mortgage payment by 45%. Increase by 45% or increase up to 45%? I guess it's by 45% because they say you could spend 45% more of your money. The sharp decline in affordability is due to a 50% surge in home prices of that 5-year period. Although wages increased substantially over time, the same 5-year period, they failed to keep pace. Did they increase substantially? I got a chart here. It doesn't look like a substantial increase. Anyway, affordability is down in most small towns, suburbs, and rural areas. Yeah. And I think what you're going to start to see now is that people that purchased their home during the crazy pandy are going to try to now resell their home because suddenly they're moving in 3 years. They thought they would be for 5 years, but they're not. Now they're moving in 3 years and they need more out of the home. They press at the very top of the market to pay for all the fees and stuff. And it's just not going to happen. So that'll be the next news story about home sellers being upside down. May 2025 rental report, rents continued to decline. So this started happening a while ago. We were reporting on this as we were talking about multifamily and rents that were happening there. And the decrease on the multifamily rents or the multifamily development because of the decrease in rents. And that's what we're seeing here nationwide. Rent is 3.1% below 2022 peak. I would say that's normal, kind of given everything. And there is no normal around the pandy, but I would say this is maybe not normal, but I would say anticipated. All right, mortgage demand drops even as rates fell to the lowest since April. So applications for a mortgage to purchase a home fell 3% last week compared with the previous week, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association seasonally adjusted index. Volume was still 14% higher than the same week a year ago. So there is more application volume than last year, but applications to purchase fell week to week. Applications to refi declined 2%. Oh, that's not a very big drop. All right, and then this comes from the thumbnail. 1 in 3 baby boomers say they'll never sell their home. So they are in their final resting place. Or their forever home. You can say forever home, but final resting place is a way to get a baby boomer to move. Oh, no, we're never moving. Oh, okay, so you guys are in your final resting place. Well, I mean, we could, maybe. Older people are less likely to sell, with nearly half, 44.6% of the silent generation members never planning to sell. 1/3, 33.5% of baby boomers who own their home say they will never sell. Another 30% say they'll sell their home at some point, but not within the next decade. They're staying put for a while, man. Share of U.S. homeowners by generation who would consider selling their current home within the specified time frame. You know, even back when Dan was with me, we kept predicting the silver wave. You remember the silver tsunami? That's what people call it. The silver tsunami. Whenever the baby boomers start selling their properties, there's going to be a silver tsunami of properties that hit the market, and then they're going to go buy something else, something smaller. And it never happened. And now we hear that a lot of them say they're never going to sell. So that makes sense. Younger homeowners are more likely to eventually part ways with their house. 25% of Gen Xers and 21% of millennial Gen Zers say they'll never sell. I mean, it never's a long time. So I could see the younger generation saying, well, probably will sell. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most predictable things that I see is when parents and grandparents move to be closer to their kids and grandkids, and you don't realize how big that attraction is until it happens. So
that is true.
I think it's another yawn of a story, I think.
So what you're saying is that Trump's baby nest egg may cause an increase in baby boomers selling their property to be by the grandchild, because the young couple is like, maybe we'll have a baby, maybe we won't. And now they're like, oh, wait a minute. If we have a baby between these time periods, we can get $1,000. And so they're going to be encouraged. This might be a stretch, but they're going to be encouraged to have a baby. When they have the baby, the pool of the grandchildren will pull baby boomers to those areas. And so they will necessarily sell.
And they will be encouraged by the more generically branded increase in capital gains.
Yeah. See?
Right?
Trump, man. That Trump, he knows what he's doing.
Hey, Ray.
Chess, not checkers anymore.
Chess. He's playing chess for sure. What's up, Armando?
I was gonna say that's gonna be a new pickup line. You
Uh,
want that Trump money?
you want that Trump money? Is it going to be a pickup line for the parents that are looking to mate and don't have one yet, or is it going to be a pickup line for the kid that's got like $175,000 in savings when he's 30? Because like, hey, I got that Trump account. That's funny. What were the dates on that, by the way? I need to find it. See if
I think it was next year to 2028.
Oh,
so
okay,
it's end of term. It ends in its term.
It's really hoping.
But then we're going to reelect him in 2028, right?
Yeah, I mean, King Trump, right? By the way, the No King's Day protest was a success. We don't have a king. Trump is your president. All right, let's look at the sharp multifamily production. Sharp drop in multifamily production. Again, this is not surprising, something we've been talking about a long time. Any economists could have seen this coming by the drop in rent rates. And if that economist had been on Clubhouse about 3 years ago, they were likely solicited to put money into a multifamily development, $50,000 for sophisticated development. And then they would turn that around and give it back to you. Hopefully everyone has gotten their money out of those things, because it looks like multifamily is definitely on taking a tear on the slowdown. So overall housing starts decreased 9.8% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 1.26 million units. Year-to-year basis, single family starts are down 7.1%, in contrast with 5+ unit starts that are up 14.5%, as most prospective home buyers remain on the sidelines. Our last builder survey shows that development and market conditions remain a major concern for builders, with consumer confidence lower and elevated interest rates for buyers and builders. Single family permits and construction starts are down on a year-to-year basis for 2025 for what's been a disappointing spring market. Yes, it has been a disappointing spring market, but I feel like it's been a disappointing spring market since the pandy. Whenever we had that shift, when everything closed down that March, and suddenly like people didn't know what to do, they didn't know if they should move or not, and then they really started moving in May, June, July. Normally that March is pretty great. We've not had a March like 2019, 18. Oh, I'm doing the thumbs up. Sorry. We have not had a March like 2019, 2018, 2017 since then. It's been a delayed reaction. It's been later into the summer every year after that. So I'm curious if we're going to see an uptick here in June and July. It's possible, but it also, I mean, it's just lower sales around the globe. So if you're a real estate agent and you were living off of I'm going to put a sign in the yard and sell houses, there's other things that you're going to have to do. So this is definitely turning into a skills-based economy for real estate agents on both the buying and the selling side, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a good thing, but it's not easy, because even in that skills-based economy, you have fewer sales to pick up than you did in 2019, 2018, and everything's more expensive. So you have to make more money, but you have less houses to make that same money on. So this will be a challenging time. All right, let's see what the Fed's doing. Breaking news from This Week in Real Estate. Fed holds key rates steady and still sees 2 more cuts this year. So they are hinting to a couple of cuts. With markets expecting no chance of a central bank move this week, the Federal Open Market Committee kept its borrowing rate targeted in a range between 4.25 and 4.5, where it's been since December. Along with the rate decision, the committee indicated it's closely watched a dot plot that 2 cuts by the end of 2025 are still on the table. However, it lopped off 1 cut for both 2026 and 2027, putting the expected future rate cuts at 4 or a full percentage point. So, I mean, this is good news. They didn't go up, right? but also they're not going down, which does show some strength or some belief in the strength of the economy. I sneezed again. Economic projections for the meeting participants pointed to further stagflationary pressures, with participants seeing a gross domestic product advancing just 1.4% pace in 2024 and inflation hitting 3%. The revised forecast for the last update in March represented a decrease of 0.3% for the GDP and an increase in the same amount for the personal consumption expenditures in the price index, or course PCE, which eliminates food and energy prices, was projected at 3.1%. Let's see. The unemployment outlook saw a small revision up 4.5%, or 0.1 percentage point higher than March. The FOMC statement changed little from the May meeting. Broadly speaking, the economy grew at a solid pace with low unemployment and somewhat elevated inflation, the committee said. So they are hinting that the reason why they're not going to raise it this time is the inflation. Let's see if they've been talking about recessionary concerns. It looks like they've taken that out.
This seems reasonable, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
Is anybody surprised?
No, I don't think anyone was surprised. I mean, I think if you really want the economy to boom, you lower the rates, but you do risk inflation. But the surprising thing, I think, is that now he's saying, well, it's an inflationary risk. It's not recession. He's been preaching recession. Oh, we can't adjust rates because of recession. And everyone has said that's not made sense. So now he does say it's because of the inflation, which hints that we're in a pretty good economy right now.
I mean, the market, the real estate market was on a 10-year ride before the pandy. And then, we had at least three good years after. And I mean, we can't be booming all the time, right? Confidence has a little ding in it, world concerns. And I mean, this can't all be champagne and hookers every day, can it?
I mean, maybe. There you go.
Sounds good, but I don't know. Maybe that's my 60-year-old self.
What kind of show is this?
Armando deserves a little bit of champagne, but
what kind of show is this? That's hilarious. Can't all be champagne and hookers. No, I mean, I think if you're working right, I think if you're doing a good job as a real estate agent, you are letting your people know what's happening. You're keeping them informed of the data, and you're doing your best to get them the exposure. There's four things that cause a property to sell: price, condition, location, and then the professional presentation of the property to the marketplace. If you as an agent are taking care of that fourth thing, and you can prove it, and you could show, like, here's the video we did, here's the photos you did, here's the 360 tour we did, here's the exposure we're getting for you on that side, then there's only three other things to change. You're not going to change location in most places. So there's really only two things to change: price or condition. Either they can update the condition to where they're currently priced, or they could lower the price on behalf of the condition. That's it. Those are the variables at play. It's not rocket science. It's just, what can the seller do? So the concern is when we start to get into situations where the seller can't adjust price, they can't do anything about condition, or maybe it's in really great condition, but they can't adjust price because then they're bringing money to the table. And that was what 2012 felt like. That's what 08, 09, 10 felt like. That people wanted to buy, but they couldn't afford it. At that time, it was because they couldn't get the loan. Currently, they can get the loan, but they don't want to afford it. And that's different. So we're in a different situation. It's not for the same reason. It's not the fraud in the lending industry, but we are seeing some of the same impact. But I think it's a faster cure. And the cure is when the economy does well and rates drop naturally, not because of the Fed, but rates start to go down naturally. That's when I think you're going to see an influx of buyers back to the marketplace, and then they'll gobble up some of that supply. So home price gains slow are the next headlines to look for. That's what you'll see. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me this week. If you can, go over to Razorback on Twitter, not Twitter. Go over to Razorback on Instagram, RAYZORBACK on Instagram. Follow me there. Shoot me a DM and let me know that you listen to the podcast. If you listen to the audio version, I would love some feedback on it. We get thousands of people every week that listen to the audio version of the podcast and only a couple of hundred that watch the YouTube version. So I know that's probably because I have a face for radio. But I appreciate all of you that are tuning in multiple ways, pulling the Matt LaMarche, give it maximum number of views on maximum platforms. But the reason why we do this live is to have the interaction. So thank you guys for interacting. Thanks for joining the Clubhouse room. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, y'all.